Welcome back to Viewpoint, filmed almost exclusively tonight here at Carreras Passage. Just meters away from Main Street, this place gives us an insight into how badly some Gibraltarians live, and we're trying to shine a light on why. ¿Cuál es la renta que paga usted aquí?
Aquí pago 72 libras mensual.
¿Y cómo lo ve? ¿Lo ve justo?
Pues te digo la verdad, yo lo veo justo porque lo que pasa es que hoy en día no puede todo costar una casa de ese precio, pero de esa casa, por ejemplo, más o menos con 2 libras al mes es cara, pero ¿qué vamos a hacer? No hay otro remedio.
Pero usted llega con comida, renta.
Porque estoy trabajando, estoy haciendo unos part-time para poder yo tirarme, porque el jubilado mío no llega a ningún lado. A mí me empezaron conmigo 370 libras, subieron un poquito, ahora casi 400 libras, pero 400 libras tú no puedes pagar casa, comer, beber, la luz, el agua, el teléfono, imposible. Tengo que trabajar hasta que no puedo más.
¿Y qué clase de trabajo hace?
Yo soy conductor de buses. Ya voy cerca de 50 años de conductor de buses. A lo mejor la llevaba hasta la escuela, chiquitito en el bus.
Sonaba tu cara.
Yo soy el nombre más conocido de aquí en Gibraltar. Yo soy el conductor más antiguo en Gibraltar.
Wow.
Yo empecé aquí a conducir los buses de 1968. Ha llevado hasta ese hombre en la escuela. A lo mejor. Y aquí estoy todavía, estoy jubilado, pero está haciendo un part-timecito, una cosa para ayudar, porque no puedo vivir con ese dinero.
Y si no le importa, ¿cuánto gana usted al mes con los part-time y también los de jubilado?
Más o menos unas 1.600, 1.700, más o menos, entre el trabajo y el jubilado, una cosa y otra. Sí.
Pero usted piensa que no puede pagar una casa mejor en el mercado privado.
No puedo, porque hoy una casa te cuesta 10.000 libras para arriba, es imposible. Imposible. Por eso ha pedido el gobierno que me da una caseta. Las rentas del gobierno son diferentes a la renta particular. Se puede pagar, ellos son gente jubilada, le hace un precio razonable, una casa chica, pero en condiciones. Que sea un cuarto, una cocinita y tal cosa, y está uno viviendo mejor, porque hay mucha gente que le han dado el gobierno la caseta y está viviendo mucho mejor.
Y eso es lo que aspira usted, una casa pequeña pero en condiciones.
Exactamente, que todos los años te manda un papel, tiene tanto punto, tanto punto, tanto punto. Pero yo lo que quiero es una casa para vivir tranquilo 2 días que me quedan vida.
¿Usted cree que va a pasar?
Hombre, yo no puedo decirte nada porque lo que manda, manda como deseas. Yo no puedo decir nada porque yo, en verdad, aquí está todos los documentos, todos los años te manda a esto, tiene tanto punto, tanto esto, tanto el otro.
¿Cómo ve usted a su casa?
No está bien. Como la jaula, para 5 personas. Yo tengo 35 años aquí. Tenía muchos problemas para mi salud. Para la mano, no podía hacerlo así. Yo como un cojo, tenía otro problema para mi hijo. No está bien. Tenía también la línea caído cada día 3 veces, 4 veces. Tenía 17 años, cerca de 18 años. Tenía una hija pequeña como yo. La mano no pude. Yo trabajando 35 con mi familia. Cuando salí mi trabajo 35 años salí la mano vacío. Para yo no trabajando, mi mujer no trabajando, mi hijo no trabajando. Ha dado, gracias a Dios, ha dado 222 libras cada 2 semanas.
Okay, he's saying that when he get his British nationality, he's promised to be faithful to the country and to the Queen, and he really appreciates the help that he given him recently from government.
Yo escapa con tres del mundo, del mundo, para salvar a mi familia.
¿Ha mejorado o no ha mejorado?
تحسنت الأوضاع ديالك ولا بقى الأوضاع ديالك؟
No, gracias a Dios, hay gente buena. Esta mujer ayudarme. Nadie. Mandado, estás hablando con un muchacho cada 3 semanas, 4 semanas, ha dado el bolso de la comida.
Él dice que él ha encontrado gente buena, maravillosa, generosa en Gibraltar, gibraltareña, que en su propia familia, que la han dejado con la mano vacía. Mr. Aziz quería agradecer el Departamento de Educación, el Ministerio de Educación, que le han ayudado a recibir mucha ayuda para sus hijos, para su familia, comida, ropa, hasta un cumpleaños, celebraron el cumpleaños de sus hijas hace una semana y él está muy, muy agradecido al Departamento de Educación.
Summarize where we are, because obviously there's like a massive review of legislation underway. I think there's increased awareness, but the reality for people living in substandard accommodation has not changed.
Well, to begin with, the Housing Act needs to be upgraded, and we would like also to be consulted when this happens. We can offer ideas, and I think that our cooperation would be valuable as far as the government is concerned.
You're carrying out a review of that legislation, a wholesale review of all housing legislation in Gibraltar. What stage is that at?
Well, Samantha Sacramento, as Minister for Housing previously, she had done a lot of background work. She got lawyers to look at. We've had advice from lawyers how we need to amend the Housing Act. At the moment, what we are is we're going to go stage by stage, clause by clause, through the whole Act. Once we do that, we will have a definite draft, and I am hopeful that on this side, earliest of the year, we can at least present, because there's a process of 6 weeks, command paper and all that, but I'm confident that we will do it at least during the year.
Is it too soon to give us a flavour of the sort of things that might be changed?
Well, not really, because like I said, it is still a draft, and therefore there are things that the lawyers might have advised, which I am reading, and all the officials were reading, and we are seeing what the implications, because some of them have deep-rooted in the implications, and therefore by me giving you something that now I'd be just, be a bit irresponsible, because then it might change because of the consequences that those things have.
Well, we often hear that when you change a law and try to address one problem, that a separate problem is created. How simple or complex is the housing issue in Gibraltar?
Well, the housing issue is obviously as complex as the amount of people that we have and the amount of space that we have in Gibraltar. I mean, Gibraltar has a finite space, and we need to house everybody, and therefore we have the problems. If you build up, then we get the environmentalists, we get the people in the heritage complaining about building up. If we don't build up, then we could get the Action for Housing and people saying that we're not building enough. So it's one of those things that has to be well balanced. And this is the same with the Housing Act. There has to be a very thin balance, or a very acute balance, between trying to safeguard the tenant of the private sector with the landlord of the private sector, and obviously protecting the whole of the public sector.
Really, I have no words to describe how the people live. It was like, I don't know what to call it, a cave, I don't know what to call it, a prison, I don't know. It's like neglected. These people, nobody knows that person lives there. These people give service in this country, they live here. We are brothers, we live together, Gibraltarians with the Gibraltarians, original Moroccans, please. With these people, it's inhuman. From my point of view, and I saw it in the minister's faces, it's unacceptable.
So yeah, you've mentioned the landlords there a couple of times. They have made representations to GBC, public comments, that sometimes they find it very difficult to get into their properties because tenants have sublet illegally on occasion, or are just doing things in their property without due permission, such as making their own alterations and perhaps creating damp problems themselves. It is important to note that it is a complex problem, isn't it?
It's a very complex problem, and in the inspections there have been instances which have been identified and taken up of tenants carrying out unauthorized works, and this has been taken up as well. But I don't think we can hide behind that. I think the problem is much larger than that. There will always be individual tenants who may have a particular issue or who may not cooperate, and we found that ourselves in the process, but we cannot hide behind that in tackling the problem, which has to be tackled. So it's very, very complex. It's, as I say, it's been decades that this problem hasn't been tackled properly, and we have to tackle it properly, and we're completely committed to do so.
So what do you think are the next steps then, apart from individual follow-ups? So you've mentioned abatement notices, which then, if not actioned, would result in court proceedings, which I suppose could result then in fines or other legal recourse. But what else can the government do?
Well, the government, and there are other government departments working on this. I've been involved in a cross-departmental committee discussing it, which will continue to meet. The housing minister, my colleague Stephen Linares, I know is working on reviewing the laws and seeing how the laws can be changed in order to assist in this and other matters. But we've got to tackle it at all different levels, and we mustn't use any of these as an excuse not to take action. It's very easy for somebody to say, but the law doesn't allow me to do this, or but the tenant is that, or but this is a complex issue. We have to accept that there are lots of things that have to be done, and we all have to assume the responsibility and take action. And I certainly intend to do that in the areas under my company.
Henry, one of the agencies that you're working with is Environmental Agency.
Yeah.
Have they got enough powers to make a difference?
I don't think they have, and I think it is important for them to have their powers enhanced when it comes to the housing issue. And I think that the Minister, John Cortés, should look into this and see to it that they have the powers that they need to carry out their functions much better than they do now. We've had no issues when coming around and seeing how people live. It's a question of the process, and that needs to be looked into and enhanced.
Nosotros en Marruecos y en Gibraltar son nuestros hermanos. Esa es la tierra de nosotros, el gobierno de nosotros. Nosotros igualito. Igual Gibraltar, igual.
¿Usted se siente gibraltareña, Janita?
Sí. Yo Janita, de verdad. Nosotros está contento aquí.
There are cases that we have seen today where individuals are not sending money home. They're just, this Gibraltar is their world, and it's a very small world. They live in tiny dwellings, no?
Exactly, yes. I understand that Gibraltar is very small land. Fair enough, I really understand and I agree. But I'm seeing building a lot of new projects and very expensive. Boy, don't tell me that we have very small land and I'm seeing projects and building, except they don't build affordable rent for the people who lives here. Gibraltarian, origin Moroccan, they live here now. They don't live in Morocco. They live here. They and their kids and their wives, and they live very bad condition. When these people gonna live in this Gibraltar affordable rent and with dignity, please.
Bueno, yo vi la risa y vi Dios va a cuidarme. El gobierno de aquí de Gibraltar la cuida a nosotros también. Alhamdulillah, gracias a Dios. Tiene comida, tiene todo lo que queremos. Alhamdulillah, gracias a Dios. Gracias a Dios. Todo el mundo del gobierno de Gibraltar, muchas gracias. Thank you. De mí, thank you, ¿verdad?
¿Algún mensaje para el gobierno?
Hombre, yo lo digo, por favor, a ver si puede ayudar a gente como nosotros, así, viviendo malamente y ganar poco dinero y lo puede ayudar. Lo agradezco mucho y le doy muchas gracias a Mr. Ricardo y a todos los ministros y a todos los trabajadores que trabajan en el gobierno.
Well, it is widely known now that we run a surgery every Monday at the Macintosh Hall between 7 and half 8. So anyone who wants to come to see us, are free to come. And if they don't want to see us, they can also go to either to the housing department with the problems or to the environmental agency.
For the landlords, well, we are meeting next week, and I hope that we can come out agreeing to things that could be agreed and which ultimately better the lives of the people who are living in that condition. They also have a responsibility.
We're still in the process of formalising everything, but we've got all the details of all the landlords already. We've got a lot of records already in place, and we've actually formalising everything as we speak. We've got another meeting this afternoon, and hopefully there we're going to get another working group together, because at the moment there's 3 or 4 of us heavily involved, and we need more people to help us. And hopefully after this afternoon's meeting, we will have a good working group together.
One of the issues, obviously, for landlords is rent control and the problems that we've discussed with you in the past few years. But remind us, how big a problem is it for you as a landlord, the issue that government controls rent on certain pre-war properties?
Right, the issue is massive. We lose money on these properties. There's not enough money to maintain them. If you think that some other properties pay 30, 40, 50 pounds a month, just a simple call out for a plumber will cost you that. So it's not economically viable at all. We are putting money on top of money on top of money to try and maintain the buildings. We can't maintain the buildings because the level of rents that are coming in are so low that it's impossible. On top of that, because of the lack of maintenance from tenants themselves, there are problems within the building, which we then get abatement notices for. We have to fix those problems at our cost, and most of those problems are caused by the negligence of some of the tenants. Now, people don't see that, but some people maintain their properties well, even though they're rent controlled. There are good tenants which maintain their properties, and there are others who don't. And those who don't, to the detriment of the rest of the tenants in the building, are getting away with murder, and they're costing us a lot of money, and the buildings are just falling to bits. And it is not economically viable. The rent control that exists in Gibraltar doesn't exist anywhere in the Western world, not to this extent. We believe it's unconstitutional.
You think that the fact that the Gibraltar government still has rent control goes against our own constitution?
I think it does, because everybody has a right to property, except us, a little group of people and of landlords, and we are the only people that are discriminated against in the whole of the Gibraltar economy. The private landlords are subsidizing what really is a government problem. Social housing is not our problem. This is supposed to be a business, not a charity. And
we're talking about the government capping your prices and what you can charge. How does rent in a rent-controlled pre-war property compare to an open market rent?
It's ridiculous. For example, an apartment which I might get 120, 130 pounds a month in rent, the equivalent, the same size, open market, you're looking at 10, 15, 20 times more. You're looking at, I've got 3 bedrooms for 120 pounds, which are over 80 square meters. That same property on the open market would easily rent for 1,400, or more. It's not that I want 1,400. I'd be happy with 600-700. But that is a reality. That is what they would rent out in the open market.
And do we know the extent of the problem? Do we know how many flats are captured by rent control, and how many might be suffering from these problems of deterioration as a result of perhaps what you describe as landlords not receiving enough income in order to maintain those properties?
Yep. From the records we have, lately, we know there are well over 1,000 properties which are affected. Most of them within the, shall we say, the town area. All you need to do is just have a walk up the upper town, and then you'll see the level of deterioration in the upper town. Most of those buildings are affected by rent control, most of them. We've spoken to the new minister, and he's seems to be quite helpful, and he says that they're looking at the whole act and that they're going to review the whole act, and he's actually invited us to provide some comments on how we think things should change. So hopefully this time things will get done. Otherwise, buildings are just going to fall to bits.
As far as I can remember, I mean, my mother got married here, my aunts. I mean, I'm going to be 66. It must be over 90 years. The family of Hassan has lived in this property. We've always been rented. I pay £100 a month. I've never had any problem with landlords threatening me or telling me no, ever. Any person, whether we rent or we buy, it's your home. And as a home, it is your home, you treat it. Is this your home and you want the best for your home? Keep it clean. If anything breaks, you've got to just for the money I'm paying. I can't expect you to come, the landlady come and pay for me. No. My home is my health. If I'm not well, I go to a doctor. And if my house needs something to be done, I do it very willingly because it's my home. If a window has gone wrong, we have replaced it because it's normal. But it's not that I have to knock walls or anything. I'm lucky I don't have humidity. And even if I would have had it, I would have done something for it. But obviously, the amount of years where we put floors, we've done ceiling, rewiring, new system of water, pipes, everything, because it's a very old house, so we didn't have a toilet. I'm a person that I look after things, no matter whether it's my property, which I've been a property owner, or whether I've been a tenant. To me, wherever I live is my home, and I believe that I have to keep it clean and nice. I'm embarrassed someone to come and see my house dirty or falling down. I would be embarrassed to go to my landlady for the amount of what I pay to ask her to put me a window. That is Mr. Hassan talking. I could never do it. Because renting is a business too. And everybody have business to make money, not to lose money. Now, whether people want to criticize me, I don't care. I am a man that goes with the truth, and with the truth I will die.
Right, Jonathan, I brought you to this apartment. This is a 3-bedroom apartment which I renovated 2 or 3 years ago. I've had empty now for almost 5 months. And this is what I was telling you about the deterioration of buildings before. Right, upstairs there's some tenants which I'm having problems with. They did some illegal works. It caused leaks everywhere, and as you've seen before, I've had to do all the ceilings again. Now this is a constant issue, and the people upstairs don't take care of, or adequate care. They're negligent in what they do. They're causing leaks all the time, and on top of that they don't allow my workers to go in. So now I have my lawyers trying to speak to their lawyers to allow workers to go in, because it takes forever to get a court order. It's been reported to the environmental, they are trying to help, but ultimately it all falls on us, even though it's negligence from upstairs. So it's an empty flat which could easily be rented out to any people who actually wanted to live locally, but it's empty.
60 something square meters?
This is 63, 64 square meters. It's a 3-bedroom, done up 2-3 years ago and empty. And until I solve the problem upstairs, which could take over a year to get to court, maybe 2 years, and I can make sure that all the leaks are stopped, I won't be able to rent it. So that means that this property will probably remain empty for at least another year. And this is not the only one I have in the same state. I've got other empty properties which I cannot rent out purely and simply because they get damaged all the time from the neighbours.
And other landlords would be in a similar position,
Oh, yes,
so there would be many empty flats across the old town in Gibraltar.
There will be many empty flats because landlords are now becoming weary and they are scared of renting them out. They're scared of renting them out. So they just, like for example, in my case, I keep them empty and now I've got to take a decision whether to start selling them off, which will have its repercussions because the rental supply in Gibraltar for medium sized properties at a decent rent, we're going to run out of them. We're going to run out of them. And because landlords are scared of renting their properties out. Pre-war landlords. Right, Jonathan, this is one of the apartments that came out in the last program and we didn't know what was inside. We got the property back. We didn't have to go to court or nothing. The actual tenants moved out. I believe they got government accommodation. The father of the family died, and it's one of the ones we got back. To be honest, it's not the worst one I've had. It's relatively good condition compared to others I've had, but you can see the condition and the works that I now need to do to bring this up to a modern standard, which will cost a lot of money. We have to go through the process and everything, but at least I'm lucky that I didn't have to go to court and the tenants actually moved out. So I'm lucky there, possibly as a result of the last program we had. But what I want to highlight here is when I talk about illegal works and illegal works being carried out in flats is, for example, a typical example. That is an illegal toilet. I'm looking at it, I don't know whether the outflow is going, I don't know whether downpipes are going. Now that is causing damage to the bottom part of the building and to the next door neighbour as well. Now that type of thing we have no control of. We have no control. And this is what we get in almost every flat. Illegal works which are not policed. We don't get to know about them. We only find out about them when we get problems with some other neighbours. We get the big leaks, like I showed you in the previous building, an empty flat because of illegal works. Part of the property has been annexed to another landlord's property, which is just beyond the joke. Yeah, it's giving our properties away. But he's been very helpful. He's understood, and we've come to an agreement. And once I get the building permits, I will be getting back my part of the property.
Okay, before we let you go, a message for any tenants who think that they might fall into this category but haven't been visited or perhaps just want to hear from you?
They should reach out to the environmental agency. The environmental agency is fully briefed and committed to visiting all the sites and to taking whatever steps they have to take in order to ensure that everything is in order.
Well, the message is that we're going to work very closely with the Action for Housing, with the landlords, to see how we can try and ultimately, and it's not me as Minister for Housing, it's got to be a partnership between the landlord and the tenant to see how we can better their lives.
We are penalised heavily. We want to do things with our buildings. Like me, for example, I would love, together with the landlord on this side, to convert this patio into something really nice, something that people could walk into and have a look at, and like in Cordova, like in a lot of cities. Look at the patios we have. Look at the patios we have, all abandoned. Now this landlord is also, I know him personally, and between both of us we want to enhance the whole thing. That's what we want to do, but we cannot. The Housing Act does not allow us. Why? Because we don't get the revenue we need. This gentleman here pays 60, 70 pounds. Fantastic man. His house has been ruined as well because of illegal works from the top flat. So now we've got to fix his house as well. The poor man, I cannot leave him like that. But again, it's through negligence from tenants upstairs and through illegal works like I've just shown you. They completely destroy the rest of the building. Environmental health gets called in. Action for Housing gets called in. We are the bad landlords. We get served with notices. Our rents get put down even further, and we haven't got a say in anything.
So what you need is the government to change the law as quickly as
The
possible.
law has to change. The abuse has to change. There's abuse. I'm not saying that all landlords are fantastic. Most of them are normal people. Like I'm working class. I wasn't born with money. My father worked in the telephone department all his life. I'm working class. But what government cannot do is expect us landlords to solve the social problem. It's government's responsibility. We are not a charity. It's not our responsibility. Now, I'm not saying it's this government, because the law hasn't changed in 60 years. But it's about time some government brought us up to date with European laws, with everything. If you look at the European Court of Human Rights, the latest rulings on rent control, you can have a look there and see what's happening there. They're doing away with it. It just doesn't work. Rent control doesn't work. But if they want rent control, it has to be across the board, not just pick and choose. Pre-war, post-war. Well, what would have happened if there wasn't any war? What would they have called it? What would they have called it? It's just we are being victimized. And this has to change.
As I've said before, I think that the people who live in these conditions need to be rehoused now and not in 5 or 6 years' time. So I think that there is a need for government to construct housing for rental, but not wait until the so-called affordable housing are completed, but it should be done now as a matter of urgency.
Landlords, I think, need to cooperate. They need to assume responsibility where the responsibility lies. And if there are issues that they want to take up with government, they can take them. But that doesn't redeem them of the responsibility to have people living in decent conditions.
I think we've come a long way, and I think that having come today with both the ministers shows that they are listening to us, that they care, and that they want to do something about it. But as I've said, now is the time for the government to deliver. So we'll see what happens in the next 3 or 4 months, and we'll keep on fighting as usual.
It's a complex problem, but on a human level, it's always really difficult to see how badly some people live. Thank you to Action for Housing for arranging Viewpoint's tour of Carrera's Passage. The government has said landlords should do their bit, and we've heard how tenants, their landlords, and Action for Housing thinks it's the government that holds the keys to unlock this problem. What do you think? Join the conversation online. Viewpoint will be back at the same time next week, looking at financial empowerment on International Women's Day. For now, from the team, thanks a lot for watching, and good night.